right, ladies and gentlemen. Hi there. Carson Meredith with you. It is 7:30 on this Sunday night, April 6, 2025. I hope you are well. I hope you are dry. um, the end is almost here. We got a couple more hours of at least some widespread showers. And then we'll finally begin the long road to recovery and cleanup from this historic flooding event that has overtaken wave country over the last few days. So what we're going to do tonight, we're just going to show you where things stand at the moment. We're going to do another deep dive into those river levels and the latest forecast crest for some of the more concerning rivers that we're watching tonight. And we'll look ahead to lows in the 20s. As we get towards Tuesday morning, we'll talk about how long that cold air is here to stay and much, much more as we do our traditional Sunday night weather chat here on Wave Weather Now. Let's lead off with the Great Lawn, or what's supposed to be the Great Lawn. That's the live view of the waterfront from our downtown Louisville Skytrack camera, and it's sad. It's a sad sight. Unfortunately, the Ohio River continues to rise. Yesterday morning when I came in the office, you could still see most of the Great Lawn. Little sliver of it was covered up towards the edge of the water there, but the Ohio continues to climb. You see all the debris that it's bringing with it too, and unfortunately, it's going to be quite some time before we see the Great Lawn and the rest of the waterfront again. As we'll see that crest, it looks like on Wednesday morning. Very early in the morning on Wednesday, and it's going to take a while for it to go down. And you can understand why there's no thunder this year. It's awful. It stinks. It reminds you of when it got canceled in 2020 because of COVID. That was a bummer, obviously. But we went 36 years without thunder ever being canceled for weather, and unfortunately, that streak has snapped in 2025. Again, we'll spend a lot of time looking at those river levels here in just a moment. This is another view that I have been watching all weekend of I-65 in Hardin County. Well, basically on the Hardin-Bullitt County line. This is at the Joe Prather Highway exit. If you're looking for it on a map, this is between E-Town and Lebanon Junction. And the right side of the screen is that's frightening, folks. That is the Rolling Fork River. Well out of its banks, obviously. And it has come mighty, mighty, mighty close to hopping over I-65. It hasn't yet, but there is not much dry land left between the Rolling Fork and that ramp from the Joe Prather Highway. That car is getting on 65 northbound, heading into Bullitt County. So I will say the rise in those floodwaters from this Trimark camera, or from this traffic camera, it's not Trimark, it's outside of the metro, that has slowed, and the Rolling Fork River is getting close to its crest. That'll likely be overnight tonight or early tomorrow morning. So we'll just have to wait and see how high this water will go, and if they'll have to do at least a brief shutdown of that part of 65. If you were around back in 1997, you remember that 65 had to be shut down because of the Rolling Fork. We're getting mighty, mighty close to that potential once again. But as long as the forecast holds and the Rolling Fork crests later on tonight and then starts to slowly recede, I think the interstate will be okay. But I would not want to drive 65 right now. You know, as long as you're going down the road, it's okay, but don't look to the right, right? Anyway, so that's the view down in Hardin County. All right, let's go to some comments. And I'm going to be here a while tonight, guys, because we've got so much to talk about. So fire away at those comments, questions, thoughts, concerns that you might have. David, right out of the gate, I knew this would be a question. Is anybody from the newsroom investigating what happened at Harrington Lake or Dick's Dam earlier this afternoon? Yes. We do have some clarity on that situation. I'll just go ahead and talk about it now. Let me bear with me. I typed out a note to the newsroom about what happened earlier. So earlier this afternoon, the floodgates at Dix Dam, which is in Mercer County, just outside of Wave Country, the gates were opened, either at Harrington Lake or Dix Dam, one of those two spillways. I can't remember which. I think it was Harrington Lake, which in turn affects Dix Dam, all of which would affect the Kentucky River. The floodgates were opened. There was an initial report that the gates were opened on the spillway accidentally. We don't know where that report came from. We don't know who said that. Regardless, Carrollton Mayor Rob Adams ordered, or him and the judge executive of Carroll County ordered a mandatory evacuation in Carroll County for parts of Carroll County, mainly for those areas that were along the Kentucky River, because they expected those floodwaters to climb. Makes sense, right? Evidently, there was some sort of miscommunication when it came to why those floodgates were opened earlier this afternoon. Somebody somewhere said or understood it to be an accidental opening. That was incorrect. Those floodgates at Harrington Lake and or Dix Dam, that same general vicinity, they were opened, and they were planning on opening those gates because of the sheer amount of water in the lake. So this was a planned opening of those floodgates in Mercer County at the Harrington Lake Spillway. It was a planned opening. It was a miscommunication somewhere. Did it come from Frankfort? That's what Mayor Adams of Carrollton suggested, that they were told by Frankfort at first it was an accidental opening. Who in Frankfort, we don't know. But there was some sort of miscommunication where everybody thought it was an accidental floodgate opening, and that is not correct. We got it all cleared up now. The floodgates were planned to be opened at some point today. They were opened as planned, and now we're starting to see the effects of that further down the Kentucky River. So this was all planned, nothing out of the ordinary. The dam is operating fine, but they had to open the floodgates, guys, because we've had so much rain over the last 4 or 5 days. If you don't open the floodgates, the dam's going to break. So this was a planned opening of those gates down at Harrington Lake earlier this afternoon. Mandatory evacuations do continue for a few of those communities in Carroll County near the Kentucky River, because they still expect to see high water levels. And that is certainly going to be the case along the Kentucky River. That's one of the more concerning rivers that we are watching at this hour. So just a bunch of confusion with the dam gates at Harrington Lake earlier this afternoon. Somebody said it was accidental. That was not the case. That was incorrect. The gates were planned to be opened at some point today, and that did indeed happen as planned. So got that out of the way. Hopefully that clears everything up. Let's see who's watching tonight. Anita's always watching. Hope you're well, friend. Is the rain finally done? Not quite. Not quite. We got a few more showers. I'll show you on radar here in just a moment. ZK is watching on YouTube. Hello, hello. Shonda, hey there. Hope everybody finally got some sleep. I got some. I didn't get a ton, but I was able to go home in between shows today, so that was nice. I didn't get to do that yesterday, but I work with a great team, and they were gracious enough to come in yesterday and 5-hour shifts to help me out, both with prepping our content on TV and here on Wave Weather Now, and also to allow me to squeeze in some naps from time to time, and I'm very grateful for every single one of them. Let's see. Scott's watching. Hello, hello. All is well. Thank you. Dave and Jean, hope you guys are well up in Carrollton. Hopefully you're not having to evacuate up there in Carrollton itself. Again, we'll talk more about the Kentucky River here in just a moment. Let's see. Ricky says, please tell us this is over. Few more hours, guys. Few more hours of rain, and then we can finally begin the long process of cleaning up and Really just waiting on these rivers to start going down, right? Let's see. Denise watching us over at Rough River. Denise, how are things down there? Hope you're okay. Hope your property's okay. Nancy, how will the accidental opening? Remember, Nancy, I know you posted this before we started talking about it, but remember those floodgates were opened as planned because of so much water. We had too much water in that dam. If we didn't open the gates, or if they didn't open the gates, it was going to break. That would have been a huge disaster, even more than what we may see anyway along the Kentucky River. Let's see. And forgive me for the silence. You guys know the drill. I like to skim through the comments before I post them because there's been a lot of folks on the socials that have been a little chippy today. And I just want to have a nice conversation about weather. That's all I'm here for, right? Let's see. Kim is ready to see the sun. Yes, please, right? We'll see a few peaks of sun tomorrow, and we'll have a lot of sunshine on Tuesday. Although it will be a cold sunshine on Tuesday. Let's see. Shonda says, all of you have been so awesome this week. Thank you. Well, thank you for the kind words, Shonda. And thank you to everybody for sticking with us for the last 4 days, 5 days, a week. Remember this time last Sunday night, we had tornado warnings coming in. Good grief. This will definitely be a week that we all remember. ZK asks, are we seriously going to be getting snow? I doubt it. There might be a couple flurries up in Indiana and Ohio tomorrow, but I don't think we have to worry about any flurries, too many flurries here. All right. So we're good with the comments for now. Let's go to the radar because showers do continue this evening. They haven't been too terribly heavy today, which is good. If you were watching me on Sunrise this morning, we were talking about how this kind of rain would not necessarily worsen the ongoing flooding. Instead, it would just kind of keep that standing flood water, well, still standing, and it would just it really wouldn't affect the rivers much at all. I mean, the rivers are going to still keep climbing, right? It would just mean some of that standing flood water is still there. And that is indeed the case this evening. But for the most part, it's just a smattering of light showers. You notice over the last 3 hours that more widespread rain has cleared, but we've had new showers developing across western Kentucky that continue to stream north and east. And we're going to have that scenario through about midnight tonight. And then after midnight, aside from some drizzle, we should start to dry things out at long last. Thank goodness, right? Rainfall amounts today have been much lighter. Here in Louisville, I think we've seen about 0.3 of an inch of rain, which was expected. We were looking at another 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain in most spots today, and that has indeed been the case. We really don't want any more rain, but if we still have to have rain, I'd rather have these light showers instead. Here's the big picture across the eastern U.S. There it is. The front that roared in here Wednesday night, brought that severe weather, brought that tornado a 1/2 mile from my parents' house. That was a little frightening, but they're okay. And then that front stalled out right on top of us, and it was a fire hose from there. Nonstop wave after wave after wave after wave of heavy rain and storms. But now that front is finally getting a move on to the south and east, albeit very sluggishly. And now we've got heavy rain falling across the Carolinas into Georgia and Alabama. With that more misty, drizzly, showery stuff here at home and up into Indiana, Ohio. Some flurries already flying in northern Ohio, it looks like. And that'll all move into the northeast as the night goes on and throughout the day on Monday. But that's it. At long last, we're finally getting this mess out of here. And we go from there. Flood warnings do continue for every single county in wave country. These are, for lack of a better term, these are standard flood warnings. We're not worried about flash flooding anymore. That's why we did not have an alert date today. Flash flooding is where the water rises rapidly. It can catch you off guard, right? It's dangerous. It requires alerts, right? The kind of flooding we're dealing with now is, well, two kinds of flooding, right? One, obviously, the rivers. But the second is that standing flood water that just kind of sits there for a while in these low-lying, flood-prone areas. And it takes a while for that flood water to drain, right? Especially given how waterlogged we are. So with that in mind, with Lord knows how many roads that are closed across the region tonight, the Weather Service here in Louisville, the Weather Service in Indianapolis, and the Weather Service up in Wilmington, Ohio, covering all 34 of our counties bit by bit, will keep the flood warnings in place. I don't even know what the expiration times are because they draw different polygons to cover different areas, and it's just a big puzzle. And quite honestly, it's not worth going through all the details of the expiration times. There's still ongoing flooding. That's all you guys need to know. So, again, if you have to be out tonight, please don't drive through floodwaters. That is my number one pet peeve in this business. I cannot stand it when people think that they are the greatest thing on earth and they decide to drive through floodwaters because they think they're invincible. Drives me nuts. Just don't do it. Don't even think about it. Just turn around. If you got to spend an extra 5 minutes going a backup route, do it. Is it really worth risking your life so you can save 5 minutes on your drive to wherever you're going? It's not worth it. So just be careful as you're out and about tonight and tomorrow and really for the next several days until we can get this standing flood water out of here. And of course, if you live near a river, you got to watch the river. If you haven't had to evacuate yet, watch it with an eagle eye. Make sure those water levels don't get to a point to where you're trapped, right? If you feel like you have to go, if you feel like you have to go to higher ground, definitely do so. Do what you feel you need to do, and listen to your local authorities. If your authorities say that you have to evacuate, listen to them. They're there to protect you. So just keep that in mind as we go through the next few days. Let's see. We'll do more comments here, and then we'll do a deep dive into those river levels, okay? Is the state of emergency still in place from Governor Beshear? I believe it is. I'm not totally sure. I haven't looked at the news side of things much, but I got to imagine that that emergency is still in place. We did get the federal disaster declaration approved from the president, so that's a very good sign. We can get some federal resources in here to help speed up the recovery process as much as we can. Unfortunately, we have to go through this again, right? Going back to what happened in February with that historic round of flooding as well. Let's see. Adam up in Bloomington, he saw a few peaks of sun. It felt like the pearly gates were finally opening, right? Goodness gracious. Yeah, we'll have a good bit more sun. Over the next few days. Melanie, it's a simple question, but it's a question that we're all asking. How long is it going to take for these floodwaters to recede? Well, when you're talking about that standing flood water that's like not river flooding, I'm hopeful that will be able to recede over the next day or two. In other words, low-lying flooding. Like just a road that has a dip in it, and you got water in that dip. I'm hopeful that water can recede in the next day or two. The river flooding is going to take a while. I think the Ohio River could be above flood stage for at least a week, maybe longer than that, just because of the sheer amount of water that we've got to get totally drained out of our area in the days to come. Let's see. Weather Geek says, now we got a freeze warning for tomorrow. Well, we don't have a freeze warning yet, Weather Geek. We probably will soon, but anyway. Now what we need is a blizzard warning and a heat advisory. Yeah, just fill out that bingo card. No kidding. Oh, Lord, if we have a blizzard warning, I don't know what I would do. Anyway. Let's see. Here's an example. Jamie's. Gosh, I appreciate this report, Jamie. That this is the kind of people that are deciding to drive through the water on Highway 111 in southern Indiana. I could say a lot of things about those people, but I'm not going to. Don't drive through floodwaters. Tell your friends. I know you guys that are watching us tonight, almost 1,000 of you, probably won't drive through floodwaters. But if you know somebody that might think it's a good idea to do it, talk them out of it, please. Please. That's all I ask. Let's see. Let's see. Cam's asking about JCPS. How long are they going to be on virtual learning? In case you missed it, Jefferson County Public Schools are on NTI tomorrow because so many bus stops are inaccessible and a lot of roadways are closed in the metro. We do not know. We do not know when Jefferson County will go back to the classroom. They're going to take it one day at a time just to see how the road conditions are going to be improving, hopefully, in the days ahead. But at least tomorrow, Jefferson County is on NTI, virtual learning. Let's see. All right. So let's move on to the rivers. I'm not going to go with every single river, guys. I wish I could, but there's a lot of rivers in wave country. And if I did that, I would literally be here until maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to focus on the rivers that are going to see the most significant flooding and therefore the most potentially catastrophic impacts to the areas that they're near. Let's start with the Kentucky River. We spent a lot of time talking about the situation in Carroll County at the top of this stream. It's because of the Kentucky River. This is the river forecast for the Kentucky River at the Frankfort Lock. Let me take it full screen. I mean, the Kentucky River is literally off the charts, folks. It's covering up our banner at the top of the screen. That's how extreme this flooding is on the Kentucky River tonight. The latest measurement, just shy of 48 feet at the Frankfort Lock, 47.78 feet. That forecast crest is 49.5 feet tomorrow morning. If we were to see that crest of 49.5 feet at Frankfort on the Kentucky River, that would not be just the worst flood in X years, the worst flood in Y years. This would be the worst flood, the highest crest we have ever seen on the Kentucky River at the Frankfort Lock ever, all time. I've seen photos tonight from various law enforcement agencies of horrific flooding in Frankfort. It's very sad. The state capitol has a dire situation on their hands, I'm afraid. For anybody that's watching us out in Franklin County tonight, let us know what you're seeing. Your reports help us the most, guys. So if you're watching us in Franklin County or Frankfort, tell us what you're seeing. But this is going to be a record breaker should this forecast hold for the Kentucky River tomorrow morning with that crest of 49.5 feet. This is at the Frankfort Lock. Now, a lot of you are talking about Lockport in Henry County at the Kentucky River. That too is in major flood. This is a new forecast map here. This is the Kentucky River further downstream at Lockport in Henry County. Current level is 51.7 feet, basically, with a forecast crest Tuesday morning of 57 feet. That's unbelievable. That's never happened. This too, should it verify, would be an all-time record crest for the Kentucky River at Lockport. And you can kind of see where we're going here with the Kentucky River as it comes into Carroll County. Now, look, there's not going to be a huge tidal wave coming into Carroll County, all right? A lot of people got real panicked with that evacuation order with the dam release earlier today. But dam releases, when you have significant flooding like this, are not out of the ordinary. They're not at all. But like I said before, yeah, you're going to have major flooding because of this dam release. But if that dam did not get released and the dam broke because of it, you would be talking about a tidal wave. So that's why we do dam releases, to gradually have that flood water get distributed across the river, right? So we're still going to have significant flooding along the Kentucky River, from Frankfort up to Lockport up to Carroll County, where it empties out into the Ohio River. But it's not going to be this gigantic tsunami tidal wave, all right? It's just not. But it still could be life-threatening. So again, if you live along the Kentucky River, if you know anybody that lives along the Kentucky River and you have not evacuated yet, be ready to. If your local law enforcement tells you to evacuate, listen to them. They're there to protect you. So the Kentucky River is really the most alarming river flooding that we're seeing at this time. However, another river we have talked a lot about this week is the Rolling Fork River near Boston. I showed you that traffic camera along I-65 at the Bullitt-Hardin County line, as right there where the Rolling Fork goes under 65. How close it was to getting on the interstate. The Rolling Fork at Boston, current level 52.4 feet. Forecast crest here in a few hours, early tomorrow morning, while you're sleeping, at 53.1 feet. That would be the worst crest we've seen at this part of the Rolling Fork since the flood of 97. And the forecast earlier in the day had it exceeding the flood of 97 and being the second highest all time, only behind 1937, I believe, or second highest all time. That's what it looked like. I can't remember the dates now. My fatigue is starting to set in. But this is still a significant flood for the Rolling Fork, no doubt, near Boston. I've seen several comments today that the water in New Haven is receding a little bit. In fact, our own Wave News reporter Kirsten Foote was reporting in New Haven this morning, and they were talking about how a dumpster got carried like through part of town in New Haven by the flood waters, and it just got popped right in the middle of the main drag in New Haven. I wish Kevin was here. He could tell me all the roads around there since he's from New Haven. But anyway, it just goes to show you the power of that flood water as it was rising. But the water in New Haven, at least, is starting to recede. We'll see that crest near Boston overnight tonight, hopefully. And then we will begin the process of that river finally, albeit very, very slowly, receding. But it'll still be in flood stage for quite some time. Hey, we got a spammer. Love it. Jeez. As long as everybody's being nice. I don't want to deal with any not nice people tonight. All right. Another river that is running or will be running in major flood is the East Fork of the White River up in Lawrence and Jackson counties in southern Indiana. Currently, it is in minor flood at 28.5 feet, basically. It is forecast to crest very, very close to major flood, 36 feet. Major flood for the East Fork of the White at Rivervale is 35 feet. So this too will likely get close to major flood, if not just barely get into major flood or come right up on it. Give you an example of what that means. It's pretty unusual for the White River to get this high. Some evacuations might be needed. So again, if you live up in Lawrence and Jackson County, if you live close to the East Fork White River, be ready. Be ready as those floodwaters continue to rise. A lot of county roads are probably going to be dealing with some backwater from this as well. And that crest of 36 feet currently forecast to be early Wednesday morning. late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, however you want to look at it. Tracy, thanks for helping me out. I appreciate you. It was going to match the 97 flood, was the rolling fork. Had to use the boat to get out. Goodness gracious. That's, when I was looking at the forecast last weekend, I had a sick feeling that this was going to be similar to 97. And in some aspects it is. In some aspects, for some areas, it's not only worse than 97, but the worst that we've ever seen. So we feared this would be a historic event. And for a lot of us, that has indeed been the case. All right, now we'll wrap up our river discussion with the Ohio. And again, I wish I could go through all the rivers one at a time, but there's a ton of them. I'm only focusing on the ones that are in significant flood or heading to significant flooding, okay? McAlpin lower gauge, currently in minor flood at 62 feet, 62.3. Forecast crest 67.9. That is moderate flood, and that crest is forecast also for early Wednesday morning. So notice how these crests are kind of spread out over the next few days. The rolling fork is going to crest tomorrow morning. The White River is going to crest Wednesday morning. The Ohio is probably going to crest Wednesday morning as well. Now, this gauge in particular, the lower gauge of the McAlpin, it focuses more on impacts further downstream in Jefferson County, Floyd County, and Harrison County, okay? We're not necessarily talking about downtown Louisville here. This is where parts of Dixie Highway go underwater between the Snyder and West Point. In fact, Paulette just commented on Facebook that West Point is in bad shape right now. And you can see why. The McAlpin lower is going to be a moderate flood. I'm afraid that flooding is going to continue to worsen in West Point, Paulette, as we go through the next couple of days until we get to that crest on Wednesday morning. And even then, as we go back to the graph, notice how it's not really climbing. It's climbing, but not at a fast speed, which means it's not going to go down at a fast speed either. I mean, it is going to take quite some time for the Ohio to get back into its banks. It's going to take a while for the Kentucky to get back into its banks. This is going to be a long-term issue, I'm afraid, for a lot of us that live near area rivers. Let's pop back on the impacts for this moderate flood. Not a major flood expected here. We'll go to the moderate flood. Again, Dixie Highway 31W is going to start flooding. It already is in West Point, I would imagine. It likely could get up towards Cosmosdale, maybe as far north as the Snyder. We'll have to wait and see. I'm just looking at the traffic maps right now. Well, Dixie looks like it's still open for now, but Paulette, actually, if you're still watching, let me know if 31W is still open in West Point, because I got a feeling it'll probably be closed soon enough once it gets into moderate flood. The riverfront parks in southern Indiana start taking on water when you get into moderate flood on the McAlpin and lower. So that's another reason why we couldn't do Thunder this year. The waterfront in Kentucky's flooded. Let's try southern Indiana. Well, you can't. The parks in Clarksville and New Albany are closed off too, right? So that's going to be an issue in the days to come as well. Highway 111 in southern Indiana, out near the casino, it's closed. It's covered up and likely will be for quite some time. So this is the situation with McAlpin lower gauge at the moment. Let's see. Terry was down in Colesburg this morning in central Kentucky, right? Hardin County, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, Terry, but I think it's Hardin County. Checked out all the flood water down there. It's like a huge lake you can never see the other side of. Wow, that's unbelievable. It was Hardin County, it was Grayson County, Nelson, LaRue, and Hart counties. That was kind of the hot zone for the highest rainfall totals out of this ordeal, where we saw upwards of 12 to even 14 inches of rain in some very isolated spots. So Terry, we excuse me, we appreciate that report, my friend. Let's see. A couple of you asking about the Salt River in Shepherdsville. Let me see if I can pull that up. This is the only one I'm going to pull up. I didn't have it originally, but since you guys are asking for it, I will try to find it here. I'll tell you the Salt River is not going to be in nearly as bad a shape as other rivers across the region. Well, if I could spell, that would help. Now, wouldn't it? I'm trying to get it, guys. I'm sorry. Where are you at here? It's been a long week. Let's see here. Almost there. Or so I thought. There we go. All right, here comes the Salt River, and then we'll go back to the Ohio River. You notice, yes, it is in moderate flood. That is going to cause some impacts in Shepherdsville. Most notably, First and Buckman there in Shepherdsville is going to be closed off north of the bridge. I'll tell you what, that forecast has ramped up quite a bit from what I was looking at earlier. It doesn't look like it's going to climb too much more. That crest will likely be tomorrow afternoon. But again, look how long it takes for that water to get back in its banks. It may not be until Thursday morning before the Salt River falls back below flood stage. So Shepherdsville, be ready. Especially if you live close to First and Buckman, if you live close to the Salt River, there are going to be some issues in the days to come. All right. So now we go back to the McAlpin upper gauge on the Ohio River. This one kind of tells us more about what's going to happen in downtown Louisville, further north up towards Prospect, and further up River Road up towards Utica too. You notice the latest update tonight. It is now in moderate flood. Is the McAlpin upper gauge? No surprise there. 30.9 feet with that forecast crest early Wednesday morning, April 9th, at 35.6 feet. And notice how it flatlines. Notice how long it takes to get that water to actually start going down. It might just kind of sit and stay for a while in moderate flood before that water begins to recede. We'll advance the graphic here. Hang on a second. We'll go back to the McAlpin upper for a minute. We'll talk about what we're going to be dealing with here over the next week or so. Utica Pike floods at Duffy's Landing in Jeffersonville. Parts of Utica itself will also flood if it's not already. The 3rd Street ramp off of I-64 is now closed. So if you normally come into downtown for work or any events, obviously Thunder's not happening, but if there's any events going on in downtown, you cannot get off at 3rd Street. You'd have to get off at Melwood Avenue probably and kind of wiggle your way through Nulu into downtown. You could get off at 9th Street potentially. That's an option as well, but not 3rd Street. It's closed off. Further north, River Road is going to start getting flooded out. The storm tracker, our wave storm tracker, was out last night during our 11 o'clock newscast. And it drove up to River Road and Zorn Avenue. And they already had River Road closed off. Once you went past the Louisville Water Tower, you can't do it right now. So once you get past Norton Avenue, it's closed, and I'm sure River Road, if it's not closed already, it will be closed in the days ahead. In fact, it already is closed. So there you go. Yeah, you can now no longer get past River Road beyond Frankfurt Avenue. So it's literally just maybe a tiny little part right there near Spaghetti Junction where River Road is open. That's it. And it'll likely close soon if it's not already. So, yeah, this is going to be a big deal, guys. We haven't seen a flood like this. For the McAlpin upper gauge, we haven't seen a flood like this since 2018. For the McAlpin lower, the most comparable crest compared to this one was 97. So, we all talk about 97. We all talk about 2010. We talk about 2018. We're going to be talking about 2025 for a long time. That is for sure. A few more comments, and then we'll kind of dive into the rest of the forecast, and we'll wind things down tonight. Betty has a good question on YouTube. Will the Kentucky River affect the Ohio River? It will not cause the Ohio River necessarily to go higher, but it will be part of the reason why that moderate flood stage holds steady for a while. Part of the reason, not the reason, but that water's got to go somewhere. So all of that flood water from the Kentucky River, it empties into the Ohio River in Carroll County. And then that flood water comes downstream along the Ohio towards Oldham County and Jefferson County. And it just keeps that flood water steady, but still flood water, right? But it won't necessarily cause that flood water to keep climbing once that Kentucky River flooding empties into the Ohio. Hope that makes sense. Let's see. ZK says the river's taking over the banks and parks in Jeffersonville. Yep. Yeah, I hate that. Yeah, that's always a good spot. Back when they used to do 4th of July fireworks. I don't know if they still do. Or for thunder, that was always a good spot. So it's always a shame. More. Yeah. How long is quiet? How long is quite some time? I guess you're talking about the flooding. It's, it depends on where you are. Obviously, for the Kentucky River, we've never seen anything like this. For the Ohio River, it's the worst flooding we've seen on the lower gauge since 97, the worst on the upper gauge that you're looking at now since 2018. So these kind of flooding events don't happen very often. That is for sure. Let's see. This isn't surprising from Paulette talking to us in West Point. Some folks have already had their power and gas turned off. That's not good. That is not good at all. More spam. Love it. Jason says, or is asking, is school closed tomorrow? Jefferson County is on NTI, non-traditional instruction. So that means virtual learning or remote learning, depending on what your child's school is. So yeah, Jefferson County is on virtual learning. We have a full list of all the closings and things of that sort on wave3.com. You go to wave3.com, at the top of the homepage, there's an orange bar that says closing and delays. Click on that, and you'll have all the information you need. And if you don't see your child or grandchild's school district on there, that means we have no information from them. So you would assume that they're open, or maybe they have a scheduled off day tomorrow instead of being closed. Yeah, I saw that spammer, guys. I tried to get him. Hopefully I did. All right. So that's where we are at this point with the rivers, gang. Again, I would love to, but I cannot go through every single river or dam or lake in the region. Yeah, I would literally be here all night, and I would put all of you all to sleep. So If you live near a waterway, if you drive to work or school with a waterway nearby, just pay attention. If you come up on floodwater, do not drive through it. Don't even think about it. And you just have to exercise a lot of caution in the days to come. It's going to be a while before we get all this flood water out of here. All right, back to the forecast. Rain chances for tonight continue to drop. Showers are still around, but I do expect most of those showers to fade after midnight. There could still be some mist and drizzle until 4 or 5 in the morning. I can't rule that out either, but most of the shower activity will be on its way out in the next 2 or 3 hours. And we can finally say goodbye to the rain. It's going to get chilly. It's been chilly all day, right? We've been stuck in the 40s. We'll be in the 30s tonight. Showers come to an end after midnight, like we talked about. 38's our forecast low. When we look ahead to tomorrow, decent day. We'll take anything that's mostly dry. There is, however, a cold front moving through around dinner time tomorrow, 5, 6 p.m. Excuse me. And as it does so, there's not a ton of moisture with it. So rain chances are very low. But as you see on Futurecast, we get towards 5 or 6 o'clock. See that? There we go. See that narrow band of showers? That's where we might have a few raindrops falling right as the cold front moves through. It would just be a narrow little line of brief showers that last no more than 30 minutes. And then that's it. So just a 20% chance for a few sprinkles tomorrow evening after 5 p.m., let's say. Those sprinkles moving through here in the metro, according to this forecast model, around 6 or 7 p.m., give or take an hour. And then moving into our southern counties around 9 o'clock. Snow flurries up in Ohio, like we talked about, not here. And just as quickly as that front arrived, it will be out of here by 11 p.m. tomorrow night. So small chance for a quick dose of sprinkles or a light rain shower tomorrow evening after 5 p.m. 20% chance. That means there's an 80% chance you stay dry. All right. So that is the rain chance for tomorrow. Very, very small. No big deal. Otherwise, we'll have a mix of sun and clouds with highs in the 50s to near 60. Here's the problem with that next cold front that moves through tomorrow. It's not the rain. It's just sprinkles. That's it. It's going to be the cold. If you think it's chilly tomorrow morning, you will get a bad wake-up call that feels like January Tuesday morning. A freeze watch is in place for all of us Tuesday morning. This will likely be upgraded to a freeze warning overnight tonight. What this means is, sorry, another spammer. So what this means is if you have sensitive plants that are already blooming, which I'm sure most, if not all of you do, if you have any vegetation that's sensitive to cold, do whatever you can to protect it tomorrow night, because we will likely have a hard freeze Tuesday morning, especially outside Louisville. Mid-20s across the board. Our forecast temperatures Tuesday morning. It will be a cold Tuesday morning. Here in Louisville, we'll probably say around 30, which is certainly enough for frost. Maybe not a hard freeze necessarily, but a hard freeze is a good bet everywhere else on Tuesday morning. So cover up the plants. Cover up the plants. Cover up the vegetation as much as you possibly can. If you have plants that are in pots, might be a good idea to put them in the garage for the night so that they're not as directly exposed to the cold. You know, we go through this every April, right? We always have at least a little stretch where we have these sub-freezing temperatures in April. That's why we always recommend holding off on gardening or anything like that until Derby, really. And it's not just Tuesday morning we're watching. Wednesday morning could at least have widespread frost. You notice those low temperatures Wednesday morning will be about 5 degrees warmer compared to Tuesday morning. but still just below freezing. So widespread frost is probable Wednesday morning. Maybe a light freeze as well. So I would not be surprised if we have another frost or freeze alert for Tuesday night and Wednesday morning as well. Weather whiplash. Crazy. Here comes the 10-day. I do want to draw your attention to Wednesday and Thursday. That's really our next big weather maker. We talked about those small shower chance tomorrow evening. No big deal. You get a few raindrops to your house for 30 minutes. That's it. We get into Wednesday night and Thursday. Another system will move through, starting off as showers Wednesday night. Now, as we go through the day on Thursday, in our southern counties in particular, there may be enough instability for a few thunderstorms. I've noticed that trend quite a bit looking over the data today, trying to amp up that instability just a little bit Thursday afternoon in our southern counties. Is this a huge severe weather outbreak? No. Is this like last Sunday night? No. Is this like last Wednesday night? No. But I would not be totally surprised if we see a few storms Thursday afternoon where one or two of them pack a little punch with some wind. Not an outbreak at all. It would likely be a marginal risk if we had one, a level 1 risk. We don't have it right now. We don't have that severe risk right now. We don't have an alert day right now, but there's at least a chance for a few thunderstorms, mainly in Kentucky, Thursday afternoon as this system scoots by. We get into Thursday night. The system starts to slide to the south and east. And then by Friday, we are mostly, if not totally, dry. Rainfall amounts on Thursday or Wednesday night into Thursday. This is very important, obviously, right now. Thankfully, rainfall amounts look light. This would not be enough to worsen the flooding. It may kind of pause the floodwaters from receding. It's like if the floodwaters start to go down, here comes a little rain. Maybe it kind of pauses that receding for a little bit, but then it will start to go back down rather quickly. So this will not worsen, I don't believe, any lingering flood issues as we head into Thursday of next week. Look at next weekend. When was the last time we had a totally dry weekend? I don't even remember. I don't even remember. Yeah, it may have been early March. It's been a while. And, you know, it makes the thunder cancellation sting even more when you look at next Saturday. Mostly sunny and 62. It's just the way life goes, unfortunately. But next weekend does look great for whatever plans you might have. 62 Saturday, a little cool, not too bad. And then we're getting up to 68 on Sunday. And then we're in the 70s early the following week. So next Monday, next Tuesday, next Wednesday, mid-April, looking nice and a little bit warmer. But I will say just outside the 10-day, as we get closer to Easter, things get a little busy again. Will it be as insane as what we just went through? Hopefully not. Too early to say. But I do think the weather pattern becomes a bit more active again as we head closer to Easter, which is 2 weeks from today. All right. That's where things stand, guys. It has been a long week. It's been a long week, that is for sure. I'll look through the comments one more time before we wrap this up. Let's see here. Gary says, Elsa just won't give up, will she? No, she will not, Gary. That is for sure. Let's see. Gary also says, been a long week for you guys. Thanks for everything. At least you don't have... Oh, come on. Tawana's great. Come on now. Her giggling keeps us going, man. She's a ball of energy. It's great. Let's see. Yeah, Shonda talking about always try to avoid planting until Derby or after Derby. Indeed. Because of those cold mornings, like we're going to have Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning too. All right. Lauren's not happy about the rain and storm chance midweek. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Just be honest with you, it stinks. But it's not going to be like what we just went through. Quarter to half inch of rain. It will not make the flooding issues any worse. And at least for now, the severe weather risk looks quite low. Could there be some gusty winds with a couple of storms Thursday? Yes. But it would be like a 5% chance of a severe storm. Okay? That's it. All right, guys. I need to save my voice because I've been using it a lot the last few days. So I will see you again on TV tonight on Wave News at 11. Brian will be back tomorrow for Storm Talk. The rest of the crew will be here as well to get you through this ongoing historic flooding that continues across the region tonight and into the week ahead. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Please be kind to one another. We're all stressed right now for various different reasons in life. You don't know what people are going through. So be kind to one another and stay safe as we navigate these flood waters in the days and weeks to come. That's it for now, guys. I'll see you tonight on TV at 11. Take care.